All right, I'll call the Water and Light Commission meeting to order. I would like to thank and welcome everyone attending tonight's informational meeting on the crypto Bitcoin mining operation. This facility is planned to be located next to our south substation on John Riley Memorial Drive and Highway 73. The primary purpose of this meeting is to share pertinent information about the project, address questions from the community, and provide an opportunity for respectful discussion among all attendees. We are joined this evening by Jeff St. Ong and Sean Plotnick, both representing Revolve Labs. Jeff will begin with a 25-minute presentation to provide an overview and insights into the project. All attendees are expected to remain respectful and courteous throughout the meeting. After the presentation concludes, individuals wishing to comment or ask a question will be given 3 minutes each. The sign-in sheet was available. When your name is called, please come up to the podium and begin your 3 minutes. Kate will indicate when there's 30 seconds left in your time by raising her hand. Jeff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me all right? I appreciate you coming out tonight. It looks like we have a pretty good crowd. We appreciate all the feedback that we've already received from some of the articles that we posted in the paper. And really, we wanted the opportunity to give some more information about our project, kind of who we are as a company, and allow the time for feedback, questions, and any open discussions that are involved in this project. So, let's make sure this works. There we go. All right, and so really I kind of explained this earlier, but we are here tonight to be clear, straightforward information. We want to explain what this project is, what it's not, and also show you where it's located and give you some more details about the actual infrastructure that we'll be putting in place here. At the very end of this, we'll open the floor to questions, like Doug said, and happy to answer anything that you guys have on this topic. If we can't answer this tonight, we will make sure to get back to you very promptly, but we intend on answering all the questions that we can tonight. A little bit about our company. We are a US-based technology company, around 45 employees. I'm Jeff St. Ong, I'm our Senior Operations Manager. I have with me Sean Plotnick. He's our Supervisor Manager in Glencoe, Minnesota, which is our only other operating facility currently. Sean's been there for a couple years and has managed the site and has a lot of experience with the infrastructure, with community relations, and also just managing power on the crypto mining site. So really what we do is we set up the infrastructure, we host our customers, so we're not technically mining ourselves all Bitcoin. We try to create a responsibly managed site, use the infrastructure appropriately, and host our clients' machines. We also do some repairs and some software automation to help with energy optimization. All right, and I'm sure some of you are wondering, what is a modular Bitcoin mining facility? Simply put, it's computers in a space cooled by air that are performing intense calculations. I'd love to explain Bitcoin mining, what Bitcoin is, but that's not really why we're here today. I want to explain more about the infrastructure and what we do as a company that's related to crypto mining. So as I said, these buildings are modular. We are not putting permanent structures in place. So the most that we'll be doing for ground disturbance is concrete pillars or ground screws to anchor these in place. But these are about the size of a 40-foot Connex. They are just modified to run these machines efficiently with filters on one side, large industrial fans on the other side, and essentially we're just moving air from one side to the other to cool these machines. And this, like I said, this facility, we don't use any water, we don't use backup generation. We're not considered what you would say is a hyperscale data center. We understand that there is a project that's very close in proximity to Moose Lake, a big hyperscale data center that has caused some concern with their water usage, their backup generation. The size of this, I think that was proposed over 1 million square feet. Ours will sit on a 2-acre plot of land with minimal ground disturbance, and like I said, all modular structures. So I've told you a little bit about what this project is, and I want to tell you what this isn't. Kind of comparing it to a hyperscale data center or another large industrial manufacturer that would consume as much power as we consume. There's no water use. The water use that we'll use is really just for restrooms. Like any other office building that you'd see, we don't cool these with water. We don't use any for anything outside of normal typical uses. Sure, we'll use water to water the plants on our property and keep the agriculture up, but that's really the biggest use of water on our sites. I also explained we do not have backup generation. One really advantage of crypto mining is the ability to curtail operations or shut down operations when there's high load on the electricity line. I'll explain a little bit of that in the later slides, but I do want to touch on that too. We're also not a retail business, so we're not open to the public. We don't have traffic coming to our doors. The most traffic that we get is from our employees coming to site every day, and maybe 1 to 2 deliveries a week. And again, this is going to be separate from the residential and critical business infrastructure, so that it should not affect or negatively impact anything with the current infrastructure or rates that the local residents currently have. All right, to speak a little bit more about the power and infrastructure, like I said, this is additional power. This is not power that we're taking from Moose Lake for residents and businesses. This was identified as a new load on this line. It's coming from the transmission providers and will be completely separate from the Moose Lake substation. So if something were to happen to our substation transformer or one of the lines in our facility, this would not affect anything with the residents or businesses in Moose Lake. Again, we want a strong partnership with the Moose Lake Power. We also want to be good community members. So that's one of the reasons that we're here today, to get the feedback so that we can, number one, improve operations, but also make sure that we're good members of the community. So here's a site rendering of what this could potentially look like. The only thing that I will note is our designer wasn't able to get the structures in the top very accurate. They will be much smaller, almost similar to the actual the computing structures. So like I said, very small, minimal impact on the ground. We use concrete pillars or ground screws, so we're not laying big concrete pads. If we were to ever vacate the property or move operations, it would not be a big disturbance. We also plan on using overhead power lines on our site, so we're not digging conduit in the ground and have, really the only conduit in the ground is going to be from the substation to our first pole, and everything else will be overhead to the actual facilities. You can also see in the background that we've kind of identified what a berm would look like. The fence is representing what we're going to use for sound mitigation, which I will get into in a little bit later. The location of this facility. This was identified as an option for us. It seems very suitable for this from the existing infrastructure that's already there. Moose Lake substation, or the south substation, is located, really this is Highway 35 on the right and 73 that goes near there. On the opposite side of 73 from our proposed site is a Quick Trip, and from my understanding there are trucks running there. We've measured some sound, and I can show you the sound profiles in the area. Jim was kind enough to take our decibel meter out there and get ambient sound readings. But this kind of just gives you an idea of what the sound levels are in that area and where we're going to be located. I also wanted to include what it could potentially look like from the highway. We don't want this to be very visible. We're not trying to hide anything, but we also don't want to disrupt any of the nature that's already there. It's a beautiful area, and we want to make sure that we preserve some of that for the residents. So an earth berm will be constructed. We'll use local vegetation to cover this on the top. The most that you might see are some electricity poles at the very top of the utility poles, and maybe a top of a structure if it sits that high. But ideally, this would be shielded from Highway 73, not only for the visual aspect, but also for some sound mitigation as well. All right. I've kind of touched on some of this a little bit earlier, but going into environmental considerations, again, we don't use any pollutants, we don't have any runoff. We do e-waste all of our electronic components. So we work with national companies that responsibly throw away this or recycle this equipment. And then the lighting that we use here is very minimal. It's really just for security purposes and for safety. So if our operators come to the site after hours, the light is there just for making sure that they don't trip, fall, or have any safety hazards. It's all shielded downward and is minimally impactful. All right, one of the biggest concerns that we understand from crypto mining or any of these types of operations is noise. The main source for this noise is coming from the large industrial fans that are moving air from one side of the container to the other side of the facility. And really, they're only loud when you're close to the equipment. If you've ever been by an industrial warehouse or even a hospital that has large industrial air conditioning, it sounds very similar to this. There are fans that are moving air. You don't actually hear the miners themselves unless the fans are completely shut off, and the noise impact from those is very, very minimal. We've also taken some measures to look into sound mitigation, and I'll explain a little bit of that in the next slide. Just touch on it again, there's no generation, there are no generators on site, we don't use combustibles, and we don't have any equipment that is running outside of those fans. All right, and how do we mitigate the noise? Number one, it's reading ambient levels, understanding the impact of that area, what it's like today, and how we can fit into those ambient noise levels. A very good company that we work with is Absolute Noise Control. They've started in the oil and gas industry and have moved into data centers and crypto mining and other industrial applications. Their process is pretty complex, but it's very thorough. They come out and they take ambient sound levels. They produce it's a software program that they use where they can measure the sound based on those ambient levels and create a map overlaid on a Google map or Google Earth. And what they do is they use those ambient levels to find the right mitigation techniques, whether that is the thickness of the fence, the material of the fence, the height of the fence. They use that and they can model this on their software to show after this mitigation technique has been performed, what will the ambient sound levels be at any distance from the site. So this is the first thing that we're going to do to mitigate the sound. Also, the existing surrounding area, it's lower in elevation than the highway, which helps us contain the sound at the source instead of letting it travel outside and away from the facility. The earthworm and trees, like I said, they will block some of the sound, but that's not the number one technique. The mechanical sound deadening through the fences and sound mitigation is really the best way to mitigate the sound. The berm will provide some sound mitigation, but it's more there for visual. And like I said, Jim was kind enough to go and take some ambient readings for us last week. I kind of noted them here, but what I really want to pay attention to is the area right around our site. So our current operation, we have residents within a 200-foot proximity to our fence. We're able to mitigate that sound down to 50 to 55 decibels depending on wind direction and other considerations. But what we are seeing here is that the closest resident on the proposed new residential area right on the south of the Quick Trip, we're looking at about 800 to 1,000 feet away from our site to the closest resident. In our current sound studies in Glencoe, they have been within ambient levels at 500 feet or greater. So what we're seeing is the sound mitigations that we've already used at our other sites would fit into the ambient levels here. And we plan on increasing those measures from what we've learned and also applying some new technology and new techniques to this. I also touched on this a little bit before, but the power flexibility is one critical aspect of crypto mining. Unlike other hyperscale data centers, anything with AI or the cloud, they have to stay running 24/7, 365 because they have customers that might access that information or need to use their platform anywhere in the world at any time. Crypto mining is completely different. We host customers, they understand that they might have to go down in certain occasions because we are the first load on this transmission line that would be curtailed, so shut off if there was a demand for that load. So say downstream one of the generators goes offline, they need 10 megawatts of capacity because otherwise they would have to kick on backup generation or take it from another community, they could essentially take that load from us and supply the power to the area needed. And again, this is separately, electrically separate from the utility substation that we're going to be next to. So really, utilities, we see this as a big benefit because number one, it gives more purchasing power because it's a bigger load, but it also has the flexibility of going down. We can curtail our operations in a matter of seconds. So if we get a notification from the transmission provider or the utility company, Sean here or our site supervisor has the ability to do this remotely, and we can also schedule these so we understand when those power outages are going to happen or when the power is needed, and we can schedule that accordingly. All right, so the last slide that I want to touch on is what this brings to Moose Lake. I think this is the most important thing for community members. We understand that the number of jobs isn't the most, but these are well-paid jobs. They are an introduction into the technology sector. And what we've learned from some of our employees is that understanding this technology gives them a springboard into better career paths. Some of these AI and data center companies are really hard to get into, especially right out of college. This is one way that we've seen for some people to springboard into those career paths and get even more accelerated growth on their career. We also plan on hiring locally. We're not going to bring up Sean from Glencoe, even though he probably wants to move up here. We will hire locally, collect talent from the area, and we want our operators to be residents of the community. The tax benefit is also there, but the biggest thing is the investment for the local infrastructure. We are providing revenue that will help fund projects for future growth and help support even more growth in the city of Moose Lake. We also plan on sponsoring this Chamber of Commerce, and we've already been a platinum sponsor for the high school circuit breakers team. I almost forgot the name. So we really like to invest in the community and bring back as much as we can. So that is my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. We're really excited to hear the feedback and really hear anything that you guys want to talk about. We are here to answer those questions. I'm also going to include our email address on this. So if anybody has any follow-up questions or thinks of something after our time here is ended, please feel free to email communityrelations@revolvelabs.ai. Myself, our marketing manager, and our leadership team will be quick to respond to those and be happy to open a dialogue. So, we appreciate you coming out here today. Thank you for the time. And Doug, you want me to pass it back to you?
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Okay, now we hear public comments or questions. So when you hear your,
Can we do questions first? You said we could ask questions. Could we ask questions before we
questions or
speak?
comment?
Okay, yeah, but,
That's what he's talking about.
We will call you up by name.
okay. I would like to ask my question before I call.
Okay, Carl Bennett. Please. You have 3 minutes, Carl.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
So where is the entrance gonna be? Is it gonna be on the service road?
Yes.
All right, how
Not
much?
73.
Not off 73. How much traffic is gonna be coming onto that road?
From our facility?
Yes.
So we will have about 4 to 5 employees, and then we maybe get, 1 delivery a week?
Maybe if that.
Sometimes no delivery. So really just the traffic of our employees going to site at, say, 7 o'clock in the morning and leaving at 4:30 or 5.
With the berm that's gonna be around your guys' facility, what is is it gonna be a 360 berm, or is it just gonna be on 73 side?
Mostly on just 73.
Okay,
Yeah, because we're going to use the sound fences on the rest of the property. So basically all 4 sides of the property will have sound mitigation.
so I'm just my administration of the prison asked me to ask a few questions.
Okay, yeah.
So I take care of that area.
Okay.
So the lighting, you already talked about that. What is your hours of operation?
So we run our machines 24/7 unless we're curtailed. Our site operators, they get there at 7, like 4:30?
Site supervisor usually works from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. The technicians usually work from 8 a.m. to about 4:30 p.m. That can fluctuate and change based on needs, deliveries, contractors, and stuff like that. So it's typically the first shift.
All right, what we would ask two is once construction starts, meet with, the city and fill in everybody when you start working there, everybody's still please communicate with the facility because we've got a lot of trucks coming in and out for deliveries.
I see. Yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. You guys just don't want the street blocked for anyone.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Great.
That's all I,
That's
thanks.
great for us to think.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Molly Pepper?
Similar question, kind of, how close are you to the DOC and MSOP in that facility?
So we're just south of the substation.
But comparable on your noise map is what I'm concerned about.
As far as where we are on the noise map?
Yeah, well, I'm just curious as to how it will affect clients, et cetera, when they're outside.
Oh, outside of the facility just to the north of us? Is that what you were saying? Sorry.
Like the clients or the offenders that are in the DOC or MSOP, how much will they be able to hear it while they're outside, say, in their courtyard?
I don't think they will. They might hear like a air conditioning running far away. But the sound level, what we've identified there at 48 decibels, that's going to be our goal, is to make that below 48 decibels.
Okay. I touched on that. You kind of stressed the modular ability of the buildings. Is this considered, like, is it planned to be temporary? Because you also
No.
mentioned, like, if we're there long-term.
I'm glad you mentioned that. No, this is built, designed for a long-term operation. I just wanted to stress that we will not be impacting the ground. We're not going to be building big concrete pads.
Okay.
So if something were to happen, it would be easy to transition to a business.
Okay.
But our plan is to be there for a long time.
And then obviously, you may have seen this area has numerous lakes, big tourism industry, lots of cabins. Every local person here fishes or uses waterways in some way. With this industry moving towards liquid-cooled operations, what is our assurance as citizens that our most prized resource won't be at risk in the future?
So most of the Bitcoin mining operations that are liquid cooled are a closed loop system. So they don't use water curtains or anything like that. Also, one big advantage of being on Moose Lake is the weather. It's a lot of free cooling.
Sure.
The main reason people use water curtains is when they're down in Texas or hot environments where they just cannot get enough cool air.
So there's,
We do not plan on using any water at our facility outside of the restrooms.
even if you make the buildings more permanent, et
Right,
cetera.
even if we do that, even if we go to hydro-cooled mining, it's still a closed-loop system, and it uses propylene glycol water mix, so it's not something that we would take water and use that for. It would might be a
30
one-time
seconds
bill.
left.
Yep, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Chris?
Is this like a subscription-based model where some people pay you to mine Bitcoin for them?
No, so we run a hosting operation. So we set up the infrastructure, and our customers buy the Bitcoin miners, so the ASIC machines. They send it to us, we plug it in, we make sure that it's running as much as we can, and we repair them if they need to be repaired. And they pay us basically a rent fee for that slot.
In light of the revelation of, like NVIDIA, they're moving to like 40% corporate versus consumer, and that's driving prices up on chips for everybody. So, that being a question, are you based in Colorado? Is that correct?
So our headquarters is in Colorado, that's where we have our large repair facility. But we don't use GPUs to mine, we use ASICs. Like all of our customers use ASICs, we don't host GPU mining.
I'll leave you with this question. Why does Resolve Labs deserve to harvest commerce out of our little town in Minnesota?
Because it'll bring revenue back to the city, and it'll be a minimally impactful operation. Thank you.
Mike Peterson?
I'll get there. Good morning, or afternoon, everybody. Where am I? See everyone, and thank you for this invite to come here and learn more about this. So The property itself, are you going to be leasing it, or are you buying it, or?
So, you want to take that one?
We're planning on leasing.
Leasing to them?
Yes, please.
So then we won't get any tax revenue off of their property then? Is there?
Not property, but electricity.
Okay. So, my other question would be, price, let's say per kilowatt hour, are they going to be at the same prices Grandma and Grandpa downtown, or are they going to be paying less?
So we actually purchase power from the transmission provider on the day-ahead market. We pay the utility a tolling fee for tapping into their line. So essentially, we are paying them for every kilowatt hour that we use, but a percentage on top of what we pay to the transmission provider goes to the utility company. But we don't have.
So you don't pay Moose Lake Power for their kilowatt hours then?
We pay them we pay them based on our usage, but we do not pay for the power through the utility company. We purchase it from the day-ahead market.
Going through a different contract then and through MISO? So MISO could shut you down then?
Absolutely. Yeah, they do several
Okay.
times in Glencoe, yeah.
Glencoe shut us down now.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So it's not gonna affect, okay, financially there. Good. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if Dan should answer this or not, but where we will make our money is selling.
You can't hear anybody that's talking without the mic.
Come on up here.
I think probably shouldn't be engaging here, but Mike, I think you asked some very important questions about the financial thing and how the city benefits financially. And one is in the selling of power, and two, the city does not collect property taxes from us. But remember, the city has a 0.5% sales tax, and we also pay into that city general fund, of which they are going to be paying in as well. And, somebody else, maybe Dan, let me give some numbers here, but that may equal, say, $75,000 to $90,000 a year for the city. And my point here is, I was probably going to make this in the conclusion remark, but if we were to put a building in the city of Moose Lake that paid $90,000 in property taxes, we're not going to find probably a building. Plus, if they did pay $90,000, we'd have to divide that with the county, the school district, etc. This is all coming directly to the city. So that's a real benefit to the city. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, thank you. That helps a lot.
Well, I believe the power plant is the jewel of our city. It's just a wonderful thing. When I was 5 years old, running around town, all the linemen, they'd find me and bring me back home, I mean, I consider it a jewel, makes us a lot different from other cities, makes up for our tax base. I don't know what the power plant gives back to the city a year. What is that, about 400,000, something like that now, or?
About 275,000.
Well, good. Well, anyhow, it helps then that everybody's paying their share, let's say, tax-wise, so the hospital, the prison,
You do have 30 seconds.
paying, say, the same as everyone else, and is able to make a few dollars more to give back to the city. So that's just a wonderful thing, so thank you. So I'm just trying to see if you guys are milking these guys, getting a fair share out of these guys here, so they look like a couple of troublemakers to me. I don't know. Thank you.
Al Schmeling?
Can you pull up that sound map?
So where's number one?
Number one, right there, I can't remember the business is that.
That's by the JW.
JW.
Joel Wiggins Church?
Yeah, the Kingdom Hall.
Yep.
Okay. And what's the sound level gonna be there at one?
So at one, we're at 50 decibels.
And how long, I mean, what's 50 decibels? What's that sound like?
Actually, Jim, it's got a great representation.
What's it sound like?
Yeah.
Like a what?
Your dishwasher. It sounds like your dishwasher.
I don't have one. She's a real cleaner. So where's these power poles gonna be that you're gonna need to put in here?
So right here, the substation's right here.
Right
We're
here.
basically extending a line right here, and the power poles will run in the middle of the site.
So they're not gonna be back behind us again,
No.
Behind where?
where I live, you know?
Oh, no, it's all contained within this.
It's all off that, all right. I can live with that for now.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Les?
Yeah, I just want to say I've seen about 10 different reports on this type of situation. And the one thing everybody that was interviewed said was the noise. Yes, it was a little noise, but it goes 24/7 and never shuts off. That affected those people's, how they lived. Going out in their backyards, leaving their windows open in the evening to get the cool air. So every single one of them, in the 10 reports I've seen on numerous stations, all said the same thing. They were promised from people like you that it would affect no one. They were too far away. And they said they all were lied to. So that's, where I'm at. I don't live in the city of Moose Lake, but I very well could be affected by the sound of you folks. I live on the lake, and noise travels on the lake. You go out there, middle of the night, you can hear just about anything. You'd be shocked how far noise travels. So I'm a big no, because too many people like us have been lied to about the noise. Thank you.
Jenna Peterson?
Hi, you have to forgive me, but I don't know how your power is generated. So when you say you don't generate pollution, the power that you use, unless it's solar or water, generates pollution. So I'd like to know your calculations of that. How much pollution is generated by the amount of power they plan to use? And where does the power, how is that generated?
We purchase our power.
Please use the mic.
We purchase our power from American Energy out of Ohio, mandated by the state. 25% of that energy has to be renewable. You are getting your energy from them as well?
Yes, and that is one of the reasons that we like to operate in Minnesota, is because there is a lot of renewable resources up here. Wind energy is very prominent, and that's one of the things that we look for in our company, and why we're not going to some of these bigger areas that might have more power, but it's powered by coal plants, 100%. So we are very focused on renewable energy and try to do as much as we can to help that industry grow.
So you have no idea how much? I mean,
We could probably ask the transmission provider. I think they could provide that data, so I'll look into that and follow up with you on that.
okay.
Terry Corin?
excuse me, I'll be honest, I think my question's more for city officials. I'm more so curious about, the goals of sound are great, but where is the accountability piece, especially with the new ordinance that was passed about sound and things like that? From the city's perspective, how are they gonna be monitoring to make sure that these goals are actually met? Especially given that, you know, we have restrictions on like when I can use my electric lawnmower, right? I get it, right? Can't use it before 9 AM on a Saturday or earlier on the weekdays, I think. The accountability piece then, if this is running 24/7, but also too, like, is there gonna be continued monitoring? Because, you know, 47 decibels is a fair goal, but what if it's not met and if it's causing problems, where's the accountability piece? I guess.
You're looking at me, I think, so.
I'm just looking at all three of you, sorry, yeah.
I don't mind taking it. Okay, sorry.
Turn it this way so you can see me. Can you hear me okay? All right, so the monitoring system that we're looking at, if you stand outside Quick Trip on any given day at any given time, you're sitting at 68 decibels, okay? This is, like I said, either a dishwasher or light rain falling is 50 decibels. That's with the noise mitigation curtain around with the berm, and we will make sure that we have continued monitoring of this if that's what is required. We want to make sure that our customers and the citizens of Moose Lake are happy, but this will not impact residential people, and I know that someone came up and said they heard it before, but we don't want loud noises either, but you stand outside Quick Trip on any given day, you'll be having louder noises going by you with the semis coming and going. I lived on the freeway in Barnum, I had semis going by all the time. I understand that the berm does help though, so that is another thing that we're going to do, but we're not going to just say, well, they're here now and we're not going to do something. We're going to continue to monitor and we will use their monitors, okay? Does that answer that? Thank you, sir.
I will also add that we will happily do any third-party monitoring, so we don't have to use like our monitors. It would be a third-party monitoring.
So I'll be fully honest with you, I don't have exactly the best understanding of this. I was just reading into cryptocurrency mining and things like that, and there's a city in, I believe, Norway that had a crypto mine similar to this. I don't know size difference, anything like that. They pulled out and electricity rates jumped 20% for those residents. Is that something that we need to be worried about? I know you guys are here for the long run, that's your goal. Things change, right? Things happen, right? Bitcoin is all over the place, whatever, but is there a chance then that if they do decide to pull out that we eat the costs? Okay. And why is that?
Well, we already generate enough funds to our current rates, so we don't need them to operate right now. What they're going to provide in revenue to us will help us with our capital projects that we have in place right now.
Okay, perfect.
Good question. Lou, Ole?
Yes, I just thought it might be helpful if you could explain more about the capital projects, how that.
The capital?
Yeah, and how this will tie in with that.
Sure.
I think a lot of people don't know anything about that.
Sure. So right now, we're working on the capital upgrade project. Phase 1 is going to be approximately $10 million, and phase 2 will be approximately $5 million. We're upgrading the infrastructure from 4160 to 12.5, which is a voltage increase. It's going to create more reliability in our network. It's going to generate cleaner power, and it's going to take more transformers, more line work. Every inch of the line that we have running through the city right now will be touched by our line, either replaced, upgraded, overhead, or underground. The capital we're bringing in from Revolve is allowing us to fast track that process, get it done sooner, and I mean, there's inflation happening every year. We'll be ahead of that one.
One more thing too, not everybody has noise reducing dishwashers, so would this be a newer noise reducing dishwasher or? I usually do mine by hand, so, and I try not to swear too much when I do it. Thank you.
Judy Molly?
Good evening. I've been doing a lot of research as well because I don't know a lot about crypto, except for it's got a bad reputation. And, there was the Bitcoin bubble that was expected to burst back in 2023. Sam Bankman-Fried was convicted on charges of fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. But what happened is a whole ton of money was put into the election, over $133 million. Trump got in, previously did not support Bitcoin, now he does. And he has not only supported it, but he has also deregulated it. So there's no regulation on what's going on. So my problem is I went and I said, okay, what do I have to be worried about? And I saw things like some claims the din causes headaches, ringing in the ears, vertigo. Others say their animals are affected by unnatural din showing signs of anxiety, ripping off their fur. And the noise is constant, 24/7. Night, it's worse. The EPA said that the limits for hearing loss is 70 decibels. The World Health Organization determined there should be no more than 30 decibels for good sleep quality. These numbers exceed that, but that's not the big thing for me. The real estate across the street is the big thing. Who's going to want to live across the street from a crypto mining facility? It's got a bad reputation. I know people that are waiting to find out what's going to happen before they'll even spend any money over there. They want to buy one of those, but they won't until they know. So that's a roadblock. What are we going to do with all those lots over there if there's a problem with this crypto mining?
Thank you. John, Wesley?
I'm good, my question.
Okay, thanks, John. Katie Mallard?
All of my questions already got answered, but I wanted a couple of follow-ups on the money aspect. I guess that's more directed at you guys. You were talking about the money coming in being used for the power infrastructure, that's correct. So I've seen, like on Lakeshore Drive, there was sponsored by pipes. Was that part of what's going? That's a different project. Okay. So sounds like we're increasing power. What is that going to do to the power? It's not a plant. The power is generated. We had a big boom recently. Is that going to increase in size? I guess we live fairly close to downtown, really close to the credit union and that power station. So I'm wondering, like, as we walk closer to that, I hear like the hum just from like the electricity. So I'm wondering, is that going to get bigger, or are we going to have like increased noise from that?
Yeah, there's no anticipated increase in noise for the upgrade from the voltage.
Okay.
The substations will stay where they are. In fact, I think that the hum that you hear from the north sub will actually go away.
Okay.
That's an issue with the substation, and one that will be addressed with the upgrades.
Okay, perfect. I like that answer.
And just to clear up the big boom, we went out and looked for that. Just a little bit of homework and working with some of the deputies, it kind of sounds like it was probably firework that went off. It was definitely not any of our infrastructure.
Okay. I had flashbacks to like 2 or 3, or maybe it's been 5 years now, but there was like the big outage, and so when we heard it, I was like, oh shoot. Well, glad that wasn't anything. The money, is it only going to be used to increase our power infrastructure, or is it going to be used for like the playgrounds, or maybe fixing the sidewalks in town? I have young kids, and we love the sidewalks most of the time, except for when we trip on all the different cracks and stuff along the way. So I guess I'm just wondering, is that money that's going to be coming in from them only be used for that capital project, as you called it?
the plans currently, the money that comes into Water and Light is going to be used for its infrastructure. The city will collect sales tax and the general fund fee. I don't know if they can speak to that, there will be funds.
Okay.
That's about 30 seconds left, unless someone has.
Great, thank you.
Diane Piet?
I didn't sign up to ask a question.
No?
No, just signed in.
Okay, David Olson?
What is stopping the Bitcoin mining business from pivoting, like most of them are now, to become data centers in the future?
Fiber infrastructure. There is not enough fiber infrastructure that runs the path from Moose Lake, from Duluth to Minnesota.
So let's say we upgrade that, could you pivot then?
Potentially, yes. Yes.
So there's nothing stopping you then?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
We would be. The
Yeah.
city would have essentially contributed.
Very telling. Mary Belvey.
Just a couple of questions. We talk about the modular buildings that will be put up. You say they're 40 feet long. What are the full dimensions? How tall are they? How wide are they? How many will the 2 acres accommodate? Plan to fill the full 2 acres?
No.
Okay.
We still need road to access. We need our control buildings for our employees. The initial approach would be 5 to 6 of these modules. And they are about 44 feet in length, 14 feet wide, and
How tall?
About 8 to 9 feet.
9 feet?
Depending on the inside of it, how it's been modified.
Gotcha, okay. Then the berms, you talk about the berms on 73, the rest of it would be kind of fenced off. What kind of sound barrier fences are these? Are they typical like you see along the highways, the freeways, where they have the sound barriers?
Similar to that,
Similar
but
to
they're more of a pre-engineered metal building construction type. So it's your insulators placed between 2 plates, and they're somewhat thick, anywhere from 4 to 6 inches thick. And depending on the sound modeling, that will tell or determine the height.
Okay.
Our fence in Glencoe is 16 feet high.
But this is going to be, lower elevation
Right.
than the berms and the rest of the property, so it might not have to be quite so tall.
That's the goal, yes, is to mitigate that source.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jess Christensen?
Sorry, I came in a couple minutes late. I'm just going to flip through my questions here. So I apologize if I'm asking ones that were already asked, but could you speak a little bit more to the potential for expansion? I mean, I kind of missed the initial explanation of the space, but like, I know the city just said that they would have the say in that. Well, how is that structured? Like,
We don't plan on moving or having any other operation besides cryptocurrency mining at this facility. I can tell you the fiber infrastructure is not going to be upgraded to the point where AI data center will be viable at this land.
Okay.
I just think that other companies that do the similar operations to us have that mindset where if it's possible, they will turn it into that. We do not plan on doing that at all on this site. The most power that I think we can access at this time is about 18 megawatts, which would be a total of 10 to 12 structures on the site. Currently, that's not our plan. Is that we're looking at a 10 megawatt deployment initially, which will be 5 to 6 structures.
okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of like safety nets in terms of, city councils change and companies come and go, right? So like if someone were to come in and purchase that or to, change seats here, like what sort of protections do the people have if things are going south in terms of noise or, anything? Like what safety measures are in place versus, I appreciate what you're saying here, but like.
Yeah, we will be held to the same standards as any other business coming into town. And I know those businesses aren't like ours, but there will be ways that the city can communicate with us. We'll be fully cooperative with them and we want to be good partners and good operators in this.
Can you help me understand the amount of energy that's being used? Like, this is not in my wheelhouse, so like, if we were to say, you know, is this like 10 single-family homes, 24/7, or what are we talking here?
The power consumed is approximately 4.5 times the size of the city's consuming.
Wow, okay, so there's some,
Yeah.
okay.
And we're on a small scale for Bitcoin mining operations. We've done consulting work on sites that are 100 plus megawatts, all the way up to 400 megawatts.
Yeah.
And you're talking about considerable
Yeah.
energy there.
Yeah, for sure. So what does that, like, are there residual costs here then, or maybe that's not the right word, but like, in terms of infrastructure and maintenance and things, like, that seems like a lot of power going through, so what does that look like?
So
And who's
the way that
paying
this is
that?
happening is we have a transmission line coming in off of 73 and north-southbound John Riley Memorial Drive. That's a transmission line that we own. They're going to tap that transmission line and independently feed them, not having any correlation with our resident load whatsoever. And in the process of engineering and designing our system upgrade, we've designed in headroom that allows for significant projected growth in the city for the next 20 years.
So that would be the cost of the city, or like if, in terms of maintenance or what, I don't know what's involved, so I'm just asking that.
We don't really have any maintenance costs in this. It's a single line that'll come in, go underground, and hook up to their infrastructure. So there wouldn't be any maintenance on our side.
Okay.
Yeah, the line of demarcation will basically be where that transmission line is. We will own everything on our side of the infrastructure, and the utility will own everything else.
Sorry, I'm just thumbing through
There's about 30 seconds left.
some, kind of the same question about the noise issue, like if, I mean, that's kind of been the issue in other areas, it increases the cost of electricity and the noise. So who monitors that and who's doing anything about it? I mean, I didn't understand you could have a third-party monitor, but like if nobody's, what are we gonna do? Like cut down your usage? I mean, what are the, you know, what's the?
I mean, there are penalties in place. I can't speak for the city, but we understand that there are penalties in place if we are not meeting our noise restriction or noise.
Fee or something, or what are we talking?
Could be potentially shutting down the operation.
Can you speak to the cost increases that other cities have experienced? I know my time's up.
I don't know that we can speak to any cost increases incurred by other cities, but in our project specifically, there is no cost incurred. There will be no pass-through to our residents.
I mean, rates generally go up.
Our rate structure is based on the operating revenue that we generate right now, and they are completely segregated from our operating revenue right now.
And I'm sorry, paying the same rate as residents?
Remember, they're buying on the day ahead market through MISO. You might not have figured that out.
No, I did hear that, but I don't understand. Is that the same rate then, or they're paying a?
So it's based on the hour, and that's one of the reasons that we can't shut down our operation. So if the pricing goes through the roof at $1,000 an hour, we see that and we'll shut down our operation. But we pay on the real-time market, so it's whatever that power price is for the transmission provider. As residentials, you guys have a flat rate, or typically have a flat rate, whereas places like Texas, there was, I think during a big freeze, people were paying a flexible power rate, and some of them saw their power price go from 19 cents a kilowatt all the way up to 1,000 cents a kilowatt. And we are on that same type of schedule, so we have to monitor the power and we have to be responsible with when we're operating. Yeah.
One more. Paul Christensen?
Thanks for being here. Has Revolve entered into any non-disclosure agreements with the city?
No, we have not.
Are you involved with any non-disclosure agreements on this project at all? Any?
No.
I think the question about if the Bitcoin operation doesn't fly, the data mine, the data center, thank you. This gentleman's point over here, if that's not going to be a possibility, And would you guys be willing to say that you would never venture that?
No, not at all.
So in that case, could I ask,
We are not planning on using AI at this facility due to the fiber requirements and proximity to major metro areas.
has the city considered doing an environmental impact statement on this? Or could I ask one to be done? I would request that the city conducts an environmental impact statement on Revolve. Right? If it's not gonna hurt us, and it's just gonna benefit us, there should be nothing to hide. So I would request the city conducts an environmental impact statement on Revolve, and I would like to see that. I think that would be good, since all of this is just nothing but positive. Yeah, I think it really would. And then when you had also spoken about, future endeavors, what is that? I mean, I can't imagine you just want to be confined to 1 acre. So what is the plan?
We like small footprint sites. We're not planning on expanding this to a 50 megawatt site or anywhere close to that.
Mhm.
Our biggest site is, well, I won't say it's Glencoe, but we don't plan on exceeding that 20 megawatt.
How many sites does Revolve have in Minnesota? Did you do an environmental impact statement at Glencoe? Who owns Revolve?
It's privately owned.
Privately owned. And just for clarification, what exactly is the kilowatt that you're paying per hour? Because I've heard a lot, but I'd like to know the actual number.
Like I said, we're in the day-ahead market, so it fluctuates by hour.
So are you paying more or less than any resident that lives in Moose Lake?
I honestly don't know what the residents are paying, so I can't answer that.
Okay. I think it would behoove the city, and it would be advantageous to do an environmental impact statement before the city decides to expand. I've been here my whole life, and I'm all about expanding opportunities and seeing new things come to Moose Lake. This wouldn't be one of them, because it doesn't really add any value to our lives in a sense of the community. So.
Does anyone else have any? Okay, you, sir.
My biggest concern for all of this is one of climate change, just the overall energy use. Most people seem to be talking about noise, and I have a suggestion that might address both of those things. Right now, in our home out in rural Moose Lake, I'm banking the cold that's out there right now to air condition our house in the summertime through interseasonal thermal storage. We have a big pit, PVC pipe running through it. It's siphoning cold air from above through liquid PVC or PEX pipes, storing that cold underground. Our air conditioning runs on a 46-watt pump and a box fan. And you're talking about building a berm, so you'd have absolutely no cost as far as earth moving that you aren't already doing to excavate. All you have to do is put some PEX pipe underneath there, put antifreeze in it, and have a air-to-liquid heat exchanger going in the wintertime to store the cold underground. The summertime, you use that to super cool the air that you're blowing through your units.
I'm gonna have to learn some more about that. That's
So
really-
my name is Craig Blacklock. You can come and talk to me. I live in Moose Lake. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank you. Steve?
I kind of have just a question from like the fire department, which I know kind of the answer is going to be. What would be our response if something happens there? Is it, because it's all computers and this and all that stuff, would we be paged if there's a problem there, or would we just be on standby if something spreads? Do you have any type of?
I think it'd be very similar to the response plan we're working on now. Were you able to make it to our response planning meeting we did?
I was not.
Sure. We hosted an emergency response meeting, planning. We invited the deputy sheriffs and the fire department to show up, and that's one of the things we're working through right now is what would we do if we had another thing that like happened at the north-south? What does that look like? First and foremost, it'd probably be route access to make sure that, we're not congested and you guys can get your equipment in there. peripheral suppression, spot fires, things like that. If a tree took off next to it, definitely that'd be the suppression approach. While our crews went out and de-energized the site. Once it was de-energized, you'd hear from us. The same thing with them. Once it's de-energized, we get to fight the fires.
Okay, I mean, it's in an area that's a lot of swamp and stuff. Is that all going to be mitigated so that grassland's kept away from?
Yep, we're staying on the parcel we have right now. We have improved road access coming in on the east side of the parcel, north-south. Our hope is to create a loop road going through there. One of the primary reasons being you guys can get your equipment in there without bottlenecking over on the north side.
I mean, we know you don't spray water on any of that stuff. That's bad, but
But the spot fires, you know.
And then the other question I had was, you're going to have 8 to 9, whatever. Is that going to be a progressive thing, or is that all going to be at once?
So we're talking a phased approach with the first 10 megawatts coming online first. And then once we operate, we work out the details for the site expansion, that's where it could extend to an additional, say, 5 or 6 years.
And the last question I have is, if city does an environmental impact, which, but me as a city employee, I'm gonna have to pay for that, right? I mean, it's gonna come, the city doesn't just pay for it, it's gonna have to come out of our income, you know, what we pay in for.
30 seconds left.
What's that? I'm sorry.
30 seconds.
Okay, so that's the only thing I'm saying. If we're going to be transparent, I would like to know what's it going to cost before you do it.
Thank you.
Question, how long is the lease?
It's a 5-year, 3-year, 2-year, so it's a 10-year with options.
Okay, so after the lease is up, and we decide, nah, can we just say bye-bye?
Absolutely.
Another thing too, percentages, I want to hear a figure. What do you project the first year the city will make? $12.62? 120,000?
Water and light?
What will the city make off of their project?
Water and light, approximately 300,000.
And city, which, I understand, it's two different things.
Through sales tax and general fund, about 90,000.
Real figures. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Okay, I'd like to have some clarification on this.
Can you come up to the podium?
I actually have a very big teaching course. Earlier, I think Alyssa said, this electric company already gives the city every year $275,000. So when you say there's another, is it another 300, or is it 25,000 that makes this 300? Alyssa?
I think there's some confusion here.
Yes.
So these are two separate financial organizations, so to speak. So when they're talking about $300,000 in revenue, that is for the water and light. What the city would be benefiting from would be estimated in sales tax and the general rate fund. So there's a little, there's a rate that is charged on electric utility bills that essentially comes back to the city. So the water and light has their own revenue, and the city doesn't share in the water and light revenues. To have a municipal electric company, in order for it, it to make sense, the city benefits from this general rate, and they transfer the city about $250,000, $275,000 a year. That's a pass-through. But as far as revenues are concerned, for electric power, all of those revenues and proceeds go to water and light, not the city.
Okay. 2 other questions. One is if there's a cost like the berm, an environmental study, why doesn't the company pay for it? Why
So we are paying for the berm and all of the site construction.
Okay, but if there's, like this man raised the question, if there's an environmental study that needs to be done, it costs money, and if this is what is needed to allow you to have your business here, it seems to me you should share some of the burden of the study. Just an idea. And the other thing, has a contract already been signed? And if so, what are the parameters that limit what they're able to do on that site? Has the contract been signed already? So this is a done deal. This is for us to hear information. It's not for you to hear from us.
The contract has been signed.
However, so I think we need to elaborate on this. The contract that's been signed has been signed between Water and Light and Revolve Labs. The city is not engaged in any contracts yet. Where the city comes into place will be a potential lease agreement and/or development agreement, and those documents are in the drafting phases. The city is not engaged in any contracts thus far.
But that's necessary for this to be approved?
Correct. So that is, we will be coming into play. We have, the dynamics that have occurred thus far are between this partnership. The city's, looking at this from a collaborative perspective, but we are now just engaging in these other opportunities, like a development agreement, a lease agreement, things of that nature. We have not started those processes yet. Those contracts have not been signed and they've not gone before council yet.
It's time.
But that contract, is that the lease agreement you're talking about for the properties? So you have to get a lease?
Anyone else?
There's a gentleman in the back here.
I'm going to make a comment on noise. I live a block from the city park, and I hear every semi that comes down Sioux Hill or takes an exit into Moose Lake, and that's a lot louder than you guys are going to be, so I'm not worried about it all. In the summertime, when our windows open, we hear every car that goes up and down the freeway. We live 2 miles away. So, noise is relative to what you're talking about.
And I do want to mention too, at this time of the year when the ambient temperature is lower, we shut off all of our fans. I don't know if you can explain a little bit more about that, but we basically have temperature thresholds where if it's below a certain temperature, there's enough ambient cooling so that we shut off our entire fan. So right now, on the site, there's no fans.
Our windows are also filtering.
Yeah. What was that?
Our windows are also filtering.
When the temperature does dip off in the fall and starts to rise back up in the spring, as soon as we pick up on temperatures falling in the fall, we start shutting down infrastructure as much as we can. Because we don't want to waste power either, we want to save it. So we're going to shut down as much as we can, not only to save power, but to reduce that noise level that we're producing as well. So that will help. And in the spring, the same deal. When it starts to warm up, we'll start ramping up operations as needed, but we'll keep our sound profile in check as much as possible and alleviate any of those issues that folks might have about noise.
I have one final statement. You may not know me. I'm a relatively new addition to this community. I've lived here before, but I've been a township clerk for 10 years, and I also worked in the communications industry for 5. So to have a company that doesn't live here, isn't based here, come to the community and say, trust me, bro, and tell us that fiber isn't in the works between Duluth and here is extremely disingenuous at best. Because there's tons of fiber projects. I know all about the fiber projects because I was a clerk.
So let me clarify that. We need redundant routes with 2 major carriers, and from my understanding, I've talked with Comcast, and there's only 1 carrier that goes through here, and it's Blue.
You may have talked to them once, but I lived here and I worked here for 5 years in that industry.
That was the research I did. I'm happy to get it.
That's fine. I understand, but this is coming from a genuine place of heart for the city at this point. I mean, really, what are we doing here? What? I'll yield.
Anyone else? No?
Maybe I'll turn the mic around also, but being a member of the commission, former member of the city council, when I first heard about this, I was a little concerned also, and I'll see Mr. Mogan here, who made me aware of something right away to check out, was the sound thing. And had the experience to go down to Glencoe, where they have one, and to check out sound. It was a warm summer day. We stood out, once we stood outside the fence, we could hear it a little bit. We went different feet away, and I'm not sure if it was less than 1,000 feet away that we could hear nothing.
To me, those of you who grew up in Moose Lake, the sound that I heard outside the fence, but we're not located right downtown where Glencoe is pretty much so right in the center of town, would be about like when we run the power plant. So if you live in Moose Lake, that live in the area, you can hear when they run the power plant, which is fairly rare. But I just want to say, I see this as a real opportunity for the city of Moose Lake. It brings a few jobs, but it will help the resident electric payer in the long run. Currently, and Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, we are probably per kilowatt hour, we probably pay about 12 cents a kilowatt hour, and the state average is about 17 cents a kilowatt hour. So you're already getting a pretty good deal on electricity. But the other thing you got to remember is our system is old. We are at what we call capacity at the south part of town, meaning if everybody turned everything on, we are close to not being able to provide enough power. That's why we're doing this $10 million renovation or updating of the south part of town. In many respects, our north part of town is even older than that. And who would be paying for that? It would be the rate users in the city of Moose Lake. That's who would be paying. And so, like I said, I see this as a win situation for the power company, for the city of Moose Lake, and you can even say the county, which has its 0.5% sales tax. And I do not, and I guess I would say, I think we've checked into Revolve enough to understand that they are a reputable company. So, and plus the other thing, it does provide a few jobs, not many, but a few jobs, decent jobs in the city of Moose Lake. And so I guess as a member of this commission, probably a senior member of this commission, I see this as a real opportunity. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I just don't understand how the sales tax applies. Usually you have to buy something, like groceries, and there's a 0.5-cent sales tax. What is Revolve buying that pays the county, pays Moose Lake?
Energy.
So there's a 0.5-cent sales tax for Moose Lake on energy?
On your utility bill, you pay a sales tax on it.
Is that true, Elise?
I believe so. Is that not correct? You pay a 0.5% sales tax. The city, Moose Lake has a 0.5% sales tax.
So you have the sales tax on the utility bill plus the thing you said you get already, the $275 a year?
I'm not going to speak to the sales tax scenario. I'm not familiar with their billing. We do get the city does get sales tax, and there's a general rate pass-through because it's a municipal electric utility, and that general rate is that what you see on your bill at the bottom. That is the pass-through from Moose Lake Power, Water and Light to the city.
If I could add, the Water and Light is a business that's sort of somewhat independent from the city, but yet home from the city. We are expected to make money for the city, somehow make money for the city. Just as the municipal liquor store is expected to make money for the city, the campground is expected to make money for the city. They're all expected to make money for the city. Then, what was it, 5 years ago when there was the referendum, the people of Moose Lake, you wanted to put that 0.5% sales tax on? And I believe it passed by about a 66% vote in favor of putting the sales tax on. And the utility or electricity is one of the things you pay sales tax on. You'll pay also, I believe, the sales tax to the county. I'm not correct.
State county.
I'll go off the mic. I've read all the articles of the Star Tribune as bit of your company and what you're trying to do. And, you know, I think the biggest issue is the noise. So, the noise is a quality of life thing. I think that's what people want to feel good about. One of the reasons I moved to Moose Lake was because it was the first city in the state that had a smoking ordinance. It was a really brave thing to do. Upset County, and my wife Judy was a county commissioner. Upset County was the first county to ban smoking too in public places. So that's really good. We have a city that looks after people's health, and so that's what we're worried about here. That's what most people tell me. So, you know, I'm trying to piece all these things together. You know, Dr. Tribune talked about your trying to negotiate with Wyndham. And it sounds like with Glencoe you had some issues with sound, but you did thought it was the best way to mitigate those sound things. And that's what I think people want to hear, is that if we have problems with that, if you'll do whatever it takes to mitigate those things. If you can answer that, I think you'd make everybody feel a lot better. So
we are fully committed to that. We've learned from some of our past experiences, and we keep growing as a company, but that is our goal. We're a small company, we're privately owned, we're US based. We want to be in the community that we're involved in. We all have families, we understand that, you know, way of life is important to everyone. So,
and this is a cooler climate than say like Mountain Lake, is that true?
Yeah.
In Glencoe?
It also has a better infrastructure and more capacity with utility. Mountain Lake was a little bit smaller, and Wyndham was, we thought we were doing the right thing by going outside of the industrial area and in the agricultural land. We quickly realized that that really isn't the best place for one of these, because as many of you mentioned, sound travels without any mitigation or any surrounding infrastructure. It just really didn't make the most sense.
Okay. And I assume you want to be somewhere where the city likes you too.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, that concludes our meeting. I want to thank everyone for coming. If you have any further questions, you can also contact the Water and Light Department or their email address.
Please trust us. That's what we were told the entire time.